Good morning and welcome to this new episode of our series of interviews about the new frontiers of medicine. Today we are together with Mr. Amir London, CEO of the Israeli biotech company KAMADA. Thank you, Mr. London, for being with us.
Thank you, Alicia.
Mr. London, can you explain to our viewers who is KAMADA?
Of course. First, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to be interviewed by you. So KAMADA is an Israeli-based biotech company. We are publicly traded on the Nasdaq and Tel Aviv exchange. Last year, we've celebrated our 30th anniversary. We are focused primarily on what's called the plasma-derived therapeutics, which is it's a very sophisticated niche within the biotech industry. It means that we start with our raw material is human plasma, primarily collected in the US, but in plasma collection centers. And our technology allows us to purify the plasma into specific proteins and specific antibodies called immunoglobulins. And this is used for all kinds of rare diseases. KAMADA has two FDA-approved products. We've been very innovative in the plasma-derived market over the years. And since the COVID-19 pandemic started, we were very fast, focused, working with Kedrion Biopharma, the Italian company, on developing a very innovative approach to the COVID by using what's called convalescent plasma, which is a plasma from recovered patients, in order to purify specific antibodies against COVID for the treatment of hospitalized patients. But I'm sure you're going to ask me a lot about this, so I will leave room for your questions.
Yes, in fact, we are going to talk about Kedrion Biopharma and your partnership just later. Can you tell us more about what you are doing in order to fight COVID-19? Because last October you announced a supply agreement with the Israeli Ministry of Health for an investigational COVID-19 treatment. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So the rationale behind our development together with Kedrion Biopharma is that people that recovered from the disease, recovered from COVID-19, recover because their body naturally develops antibodies against the virus. So if those people, those recovered patients, donate their plasma is expected to be rich with specific antibodies against the COVID. What we know to do is to take this plasma and to purify the specific antibodies in order basically to have a concentrated, high titer, high potency antibodies against the virus. And this is used as a therapeutic treatment for hospitalized patients. So when the disease started, the pandemic started in February, March last year. As I said earlier, we were very fast in focusing our efforts in development of the product. We started working with Kedrion and Israeli hospitals, Israeli centralized blood bank, the Israeli Ministry of Health, the KOLs that were treating COVID patients. And by taking that plasma from the recovered patients, we developed the product. In June, we were the first company globally to complete the production of the first batch of these antibodies at a therapeutic level that can be injected, can be infused to patients. We started the clinical trial in Israel that showed very promising results in September. And then based on this data and our ability to collect, Kedrion collecting plasma in the US, and us ramping up our production capacity, we signed an agreement with the Israeli Ministry of Health. And as of end of last year, beginning of 2021, basically, this treatment is available nationwide in Israel. The Israeli Ministry of Health is using it under a clinical trial, or what's called a named patient basis for the treatment of hospitalized patients in Israel. And this treatment is getting more and more exposure, and more hospitals and physicians are using it to treat their COVID-19 patients.
And focusing on Israel and its fighting to COVID-19 is doing very well. According to you, what are the keys of this successful and efficient strategy?
Okay. So what's really working very well in Israel is the vaccination program. Israel has been fast in signing agreement primarily with Pfizer on the supply of the COVID-19 vaccines. We were, I think, from one of the first countries, if not the first one, to actually get a significant supply. And there has been a significant promotion, basically promoting and asking people, the population, to get vaccinated, and the vaccination level is very high. It's mainly because Israel has a very unique, successful health system. It's like a hybrid system that combines a national level coverage for all patients with strong HMOs, strong sick funds. They are very good with their, not only with their therapeutics and medical capabilities, but also with their logistic capabilities. And Israel, being a relatively small country in size, allows us to get to basically the entire population within hours. Or every Israeli can get to a medical center, within minutes in terms of distance. So the logistics, the supply chain has been very effective. And now with the majority of the people already being vaccinated, we see the amazing impact of this on the overall situation in Israel. And this is helping us a lot in terms of reopening the market and basically the economy. I just came back from vacation over the weekend in a hotel in the Red Sea, and the city over there, Eilat, is open like there is no corona around the world.
Wow, it's like a new normal that here in Europe, in Italy, we are trying to see, but it's very difficult at the moment. So we look at Israel as a model to fight the virus. You mentioned before the Ministry of Health. How are you relating with the Ministry of Health for the development and the diffusion of your treatments and therapies, except for, of course, the one against COVID-19?
Okay, so KAMADA has been involved with the Israeli Ministry of Health for many years. We have different programs that we are doing with the local ministry. For example, we are the supplier in Israel for the anti-snake venom products for the local market, and we are supplying also additional emergency treatments for the Israeli population. So this is kind of a legacy relationship that have been developed with a lot of mutual trust over the years. And this also helped us when we embarked on the COVID-19 development. So we were working very closely with the Israeli ministry. I want to congratulate them on the support they gave us in this development. They've been very open and very innovative in their thought process, working with us. And they were basically the first country to actually also engage in such a supply agreement and making this innovative COVID-19 immunoglobulin antibodies treatment available nationwide through the Israeli system. So it's been a very successful relationship, and we're very happy with the relationships that we've developed with the ministry.
You mentioned before your partnership with Kedrion Biopharma. We
Absolutely.
hosted the CEO, Mr. Val Romberg, here in our studios at Fonti TV. Can you tell us more about what are you developing with Kedrion and what are the next steps?
Absolutely. So our relationship with Kedrion goes many years back, and we are very happy with how this relationship has been developed. We already have one very successful program. That's a product that was approved 2017 in the US. It's an anti-rabies antibody product for people that were exposed to a potentially rabid animal. We completed, together with Kedrion, successfully a clinical trial in the US. and Kedrion is commercializing the product since 2018 in the US market and growing the market share significantly. So building on that solid, robust, successful relationship, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, we also kind of expanded that relationship to the COVID product. We are developing the product together. KAMADA is responsible for the manufacturing and for the clinical development. Kedrion is working on collecting the plasma, which is from recovered patients in the US, and on supporting the development work. And we're very happy on that successful collaboration. And in terms of the future, we are in discussion with multiple health authorities and regulators around the world on bringing the product and making it available also in other countries, not only in Israel, where currently it's being used.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. London, for being with us, and we do hope to have you physically here in Milan at our studios.
And you are also invited to Tel Aviv. The sun is shining and the COVID is gone, so that's a great place to be these days.
I will try to do that so very soon. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. London, for being with us, and thank you for following us with this new episode of the series of interviews about the new frontiers of medicine. See you next time.